Welcome to Module 4 of our course Profit, Growth, Wealth Solutions for Small Business, brought to you by smallbusinessplantoprofit.com. And in this module we're going to be talking about how to build a framework for a high performance business model. So where we're up to now is step 2 in our Profit, Growth, Wealth series. And this is all about converting sustainable profit growth into increased business value. So to recap where we've been so far, we spent some time to introduce you to the concept of the 5 steps to profit improvement, being able to focus on those key profit drivers in any business, and we've shown you how just some very small changes, some small improvements to those key profit drivers can have an absolutely massive effect to your bottom line profit. We then had a look at the 7 deadly wastes that exists within any business, and we demonstrated there that a waste minimization program and identifying those wastes and then eliminating those wastes within a business can generate anywhere between 5 to 20% savings in the operating cost structure of any business. So the combination of those 5 steps to profit improvement and the elimination of the 7 deadly wastes can have a massive effect on the bottom line profit of your business. So in step 2 of this cycle now, what we're looking at is to being able to convert that profit model into a sustainable profit model, and in a way that we can use that to increase the value of your business. So the way I like to describe this is that it's about adding strategy to your basic business model. Your basic business model is, as we've depicted here in the chart, that you've got some products and some services to sell, you've got a marketing and sales strategy to sell those products, and you've got a finance system that shows you how to make money out of those products. So your basic business model is you've got something to sell, you've got a way to sell it, and you've got a way to make money on it. So to build up a high performance business, the best way I can describe this to you is just to show perhaps how demonstrate how a business can develop from a basic business like this, a very simple, say a mum and dad type business, into something that's quite a large business, one that has an integrated growth model within its structure. So the first thing that happens is that as we're successful as a business and we're selling our products and we're making good profits and we've got a good marketing campaign in there, we start to look for ways to grow that business even further. So we develop strategies about how to deal with our competitors, how to market even better, how to get a greater market share than what we're doing. So we look at whether or not those competitive strategies are good enough for us. Are we implementing them really well? And are we winning in our market segment? And if we are winning, why are we winning? We need to develop a very good understanding of what is making us successful. So we go along our merry way and we're becoming more and more successful, and we find that the business starts to grow. And as it grows past being a business that just mum and dad or a couple of people can run. Our business now, having grown to a certain stage, needs other people inside it to make it really reach for the next level. So we have to involve people, and this is a difficult stage in the development of any small business. It's easy to control a business that you can touch day in, day out, and be a part of every process that's involved in the business. As you bring other people into the business model, you need to develop processes and policies that allow those people to be effective. You need to have the right recruitment strategies in place to make sure the right people are in the system. They have to be trained, they have to be developed, and we need to be able to retain those staff, so the reward and remuneration strategies have to be right. They don't have to be the top remuneration levels for our people. It's a combination of things. We have to reward our staff through financial means, but also non-financial means. They need encouragement. They need to know that they're working in a fantastic environment. They need to buy into the business idea and want to be part of pushing that forward. So the business has now grown to a certain stage. We've got other people involved in the system, not just you, and we're starting to win more and more market share. So the next level is we're putting more and more people on as the business gets bigger and bigger. So we have to then develop some structures around the people, some structures about the organisation. And this stage here, we're starting to question, do we actually have an effective organisational structure? Do we need to make changes to make sure that we're really achieving what we need to do? Do you have an organisational structure? The problem often with businesses that have developed from a small size and now coming through a growth model is that the old structures are still hanging in there. Our original staff still try to hold on to the original positions and their original roles and responsibilities, and it starts to stifle some growth. So there's a time where there's some very hard decisions to be made here, and there's a time where you need to sit back and go, if I was to build this business today of the size it is today, what would it look like? What roles and responsibilities would I have within that organisation? What people would I have sitting in those positions? Are the people who are currently sitting in those positions the one that I would employ today? And sometimes it leads to a very hard decision where we do need to make staffing changes. We do have to redeploy people and reallocate roles and responsibilities. So we need to make sure we've got this organisational structure operating effectively for the business that we're trying to build. That organisational structure has to support the strategic plans that we've got in place. It needs to be driving the business forward. It has to make the business work effectively and efficiently. Now, once we've dealt with all the people issues and the business is building and growing and perhaps developing from one site to now multiple sites, multiple stores, perhaps different elements of the business where we were retailing or wholesaling before, maybe now we're manufacturing and we're retailing and wholesaling and we're also distributing at the same time. So with all of those people and the structures, we need systems now to make the business run effectively. The systems need to be integrated with what the business is trying to achieve, so it needs to support those competitive strategies that we've put in place before. It needs to be customer focused and it needs to be efficient. It needs to look at the way that we're using technology. Systemization of process is something that small business runs away from like the plague, I guess. The argument's always been our strength as a small business is that we're a niche player. We can change midstream very effectively, much more effectively than our larger competitors, and that's the advantage that we have. We're nimble, we're quick, we're agile, we're able to change midstream. And the thought process always is that systems, or the systemization of a business, makes it much harder to turn around and make very quick changes to changes in your own marketplace. And there's some truth to that. But as a business goes through a growth cycle, as it gets towards the peak of its growth cycle, there is no doubt that the whole systemization of process and systemization of the business systems itself is absolutely paramount. We're looking for consistency of service. We're looking for consistency in quality. We're looking for consistency in profitability across all aspects of our business, and we want to make sure that every step of our business process supports and adds value to every other process that is in there. So systemization is very, very important, and something that all businesses that go through a growth cycle need to grapple with at some stage. Culture is a very interesting area of an organisational structure. When a business grows from perhaps say a small size through to a medium size through to a large size firm, the culture develops along the way and it changes along the way, and it gets to a point where perhaps that culture that has developed organically over time is not quite the culture that the business needs today, and becomes a very difficult issue then, where a business has to look at its culture. And the culture, in my definition, is the way we do things around here. So there's an understanding by all the people who work within that business that this is the expectation, this is the way we do things, these are the values that we run our business by. And the cultural aspects of a business need to be integrated with this overall business model. They need to be, again, pushing towards a common vision. So changing a culture midstream is very difficult. if we had the foresight when we were setting up a business that it was going to get to a certain level, and when it got to that level it needed a certain culture, then you would start the business out with that culture in mind. So the culture that developed as the business grew would be the one that we wanted to end up with. Unfortunately, that's not the way it happens in the real world. And as I say, we have a culture of a small business, nice and friendly, everybody knows everyone else, we make allowances for what gaps in people's ability, we make allowances for differences of opinion, but as the business gets to a certain size, some of those things are harder to try and manage, and we need a culture that is supportive of our overall vision. And it needs to be a culture that attracts the type of people that we want. So the growth cycle eventually gets to this point where we have to have a serious look at that business culture, and perhaps we need to outsource to a specialist to bring in some sort of cultural change program. I know that's a cringe factor as a small business person listening to this type of message, that we don't want to get there, we don't want to be big business. Well, what I'm saying to you is that you will get to a point in your growth cycle where culture becomes absolutely vital to the long-term success of your business. You can see that we're developing a pyramid here, even though it is a pushed over pyramid, and at the top of that pyramid is vision. Vision is a commonality of view. Vision is what we're striving for. Vision is where we're pushing the company. Every decision that we make should be in line with our long-term vision for the business. So all of our strategies, our structure, the products, our marketing plans, the financing system that we've got, our systems and processes, all need to be driving towards the vision, what we are dreaming of trying to create in this particular in this particular business. Now, vision is probably something that ideally we would have when we started the business. So when we started the business, ideally we'd have a clear view of what we were trying to achieve and where we were going to get to. But again, in reality, that's not really what happens. When we start a business for all sorts of reasons. We're sick and tired of working in an employment situation, or we see a gap in the market that we think that we really have some skills to try and exploit, and we just get in there and we get it done. So our vision is quite short term. We just want to get this thing up and running. We just want to make some money. As we go through the growth cycle, our vision changes a little bit in that we understand that we have been successful. Now we just want to be a little bit more successful, so our vision starts to get a little bit further. Again, at some point we come to a realization that we have created a business that is now growing strongly, and our vision starts to push out longer term. Perhaps it starts to push out to our exit strategy, and that's where I like to focus people. What's our long-term exit strategy? When we look to exit the business, is it through a succession plan, being a transfer of control and ownership to other family members or to a management group, or are we looking to sell to an external buyer? If we're looking to sell to an external buyer, what does the business need to look like? How does the business need to operate? What is going to make this business super attractive to a future buyer? And our vision may well be to build the business that is going to maximize our exit value. Our vision may well be to create a business that runs without us, a business that we think that we can own almost until we die, and we can take a very good dividend stream or a profit share out of that business. So our vision might not be how we exit, but it might be how we maximize the benefits of what we're doing. Certainly part of the vision may well be non-financial, in that we want to be the greenest company in the world. We want to be known as an employer of choice. They're all good things to build into a vision, but in my world I don't think that is what should be driving the business. We're in a business to make some money. We're in a business to be successful. We're in a business to grow something that is ours, and that's the vision I think that we need to hold on to. But whatever your vision is, it needs to drive all strategic decisions within that business. So the vision drives the strategy in the business, which influences the structure and the culture of the business. It influences what we sell and how we sell it and how we go about making money on that. It influences the type of people that we employ and get involved in our business, and it certainly influences the way we develop our systems and processes around that. So putting all of that together, we come up with this chart that I live and die by, I guess, and this is my framework for a high growth business or a successful business. One where we have an integration of a basic business model and a strategic direction. If you look on the right hand side, we sort of see the fins of a rocket, or the engine of a rocket, the basic business model, the products, the marketing, the people strategies, the systems to make it all work, the finance to make it into a profit. The top four areas on the left hand side are the strategic elements of a business. The vision of where we're going, the strategic plans to achieve that vision, the structures to make it all happen, and the culture to bind it all together from an operational sense and a strategic sense. So it's an integrated model. All of these areas need to be working in tandem for the business to be truly successful. And as you go through a growth cycle, all of these elements are what you are going to need to address in making sure the business is successful during that program. How would I go about implementing a business growth program? What have I seen in my professional practice that makes this work? The first step is that you really need to analyse the effectiveness of your current business model. You need to have a deep look at your business and how it operates within each of these various sectors here. Have a very good understanding of what is best practice and where you currently are at the moment. So we're looking for a gap analysis there to see where our opportunities are for improvement. How can we build a better business looking at those various elements? Once we can identify where those gaps are and what needs to be done, we can then develop a strategic plan for the growth of the business. So a strategic plan is one that makes sure that it has a strong understanding of the vision of what we're trying to end up with, a strong understanding of where we are now, what we've got, and then it develops a plan of how we're actually going to achieve that. My final point on this implementation of a growth program, my experience has always been that using a facilitator, an external facilitator to drive the growth process is absolutely invaluable to you as a small business owner. The role of a facilitator is really to keep you honest. You know how to run your business better than anyone else. You know what is required to make your business successful. No one else can really tell you what that is. But too often business owners spend their time on those day-to-day decisions, so working in the business rather than being on the business. So a facilitator is one that will try and force you to come out of the business on a periodic basis and assess where you are strategically in relation to the various elements that are important to you. So a facilitator's role is to drag you out of your business, make you think strategically, develop a strategic plan of how to improve your business, and then keep you honest to that plan. So on a regular basis, assess where you're up to, what still needs to be done, and just make you continue to drive down that process. So that's how I would implement a business growth program. That certainly is what I do in my offline role as a business advisor in Australia. So that's the end of Module 4, where we're looking at the framework for a high-performance business model. In Module 5, I'll take you through one of the tools that I use to analyse a business in relation to that high-performance business model. So the tool that I use that assesses the effectiveness of your current business model and then identifies those opportunities for improvement. So I'll see you again in Module 5.